What's up people, Barry Big Plums Fishing here. I am currently at Avington Trout Fishery in Hampshire and I'm part of the Trout Master competition. There was 5 of us in total. The lake is fishing extremely well. The way it's fishing at the moment, literally all of the smaller fish, around 4 to 5 pounder, jumping straight on your hook as soon as you put the fly in the water. And the conditions are not particularly great for stalking today. It's overcast, it's raining, and the light is low due to the time of year. So I'm going to set up the camera and see what happens. I haven't seen anything big today, and when you're paying £80 for a ticket, you do expect to see bigger fish. You know, it's an expensive ticket. Anyway, I'm going to set up my camera and see what I catch. You know, I can't spot anything, so I'm just going to have to cast blind, and the likelihood is I'm going to get a 4 or 5 pounder, but a fish is a fish, and then I can drive home. You see me here, I'm just getting used to my new 7-weight fly rod, which is an Airflow Airlight V2. It's a 10-foot rod, 7-weight with the Airflow Exceed line. I'm a big fan of Airflow just because I like to buy British where I can, you know, support British products where at all possible. And Airflow give you good all-around performance for a reasonable price too. They've got some good products out there. And an Airflow rod, especially in 7-weight, can do pretty much everything you need it to do. Some people find it a bit suicidal when they watch me fish, the fact that I put my line onto my reel when I play a fish. I grew up as a coarse fisherman and a sea fisherman as a boy. I always feel more comfortable playing a fish, especially a bigger fish, off the reel. Your reel's got a drag system there. When a fish makes a run, it just handles the fish better. You know, when you play it by hand, you do tend to bully the fish a little bit more. And especially at Avington, the fish do fight very, very hard. And I've also been in a scenario where I've been tripping over my own fly line, where I've got yards and yards of line around my feet. If you're making short casts, it's not too much of a problem, I think, getting line around your feet. But if you're going to be playing a fish for a prolonged period of time, I do prefer using the reel to do so. As you can see in the video here, it was raining from the moment I got out my car until the moment I got in my car. It's just one of those things, man. Fishing's one of those sports that you are out in rain or shine. You know, fly fishing is better in the winter months and the springtime. It doesn't really fish too well in the summer because it tends to upset the fish and stress the fish. Especially rainbow trout, they really don't like the hot weather. So a lot of the time, you want the best fishing, you're going to be fishing when it's cold. But if you're into it the way that I'm into it, that's not going to stop you for 1 second. My setup for the day was, of course, my new Airflow fly rod, 10-foot 7-weight with the Airflow Exceed floating fly line. Had about a 12-foot leader, and I was also using a tungsten bead mini zonker. I'll start that again. A tungsten bead mini zonker, but it was in a natural rabbit fur variation, so it looks extremely like coarse fish, like little roach and things like that, which really is the best colour. I know a lot of people use the cat's whiskers in whites, but I really like the natural colours. I've been getting some really big fish this winter using natural fry patterns, you know, sort of dark browns, dark greys, things like that. Really do imitate those coarse fish well. But that's why I was on the day, and I was literally getting pulls near enough every single cast. But it is winter and the fish do like to chase things at this time of year. Avington Trout Fishery is mainly a stalking water. What I mean by stalking water is you walk around the fishery and you spot the bigger fish and cast to the bigger fish. That's how you get your double figure trout. You have to pick them out on a cast. You know, if you're chucking out a lure or chucking out a fly, the smaller trout are generally faster than the bigger trout, and they will always beat the bigger trout to the fly. So you have to kind of look for the big fish and cast to them to kind of segregate them from the smaller fish in the fishery. So I spent about an hour walking around Avington, but I wasn't able to find anything bigger today. There was all 4s and 5 pounds, and that's mainly just because of the low light conditions. So after looking around the fishery, I decided just to, you know, blind cast and catch what I caught. And there you go, 4 fish. And then that's me done for the day, apart from my 2.5 hour drive home. But no complaints from me. The fish at Avington fight really, really hard, and they eat very, very well. So at the end of the day, I bought a 4 fish ticket and I caught my 4 fish. What more could you ask for as a fisherman? If I had one complaint about the day in question, apart from not being able to spot any of the bigger fish in the fishery, it would be some days you turn up to a fishery and it can be just too easy. I was getting pulls near enough every single cast. I had to eat my lunch, I had to go and talk to the other fishermen and walk around the fishery to prolong my day. I've always got this thing, I don't like fishing for less time than I drive to get to a fishery. So if I spend 5 hours driving, I want to always spend 5 hours fishing. You know, it's just a mental thing with me, a mental block. I like to enjoy my day and make a day of it. So when I catch all my fish within an hour, I do sometimes feel a little bit duped out my ticket. But on another day, you can go to a fishery and flog away all day and do your best and hardly get a fish. You're completely Captain Blanco. So you can't always have it your own way. It's better to catch fish than it is not to catch fish, you know. So some days it's easy and some days it's hard. And this day in particular seemed to be one of those really, really easy days for me. If you ask anyone in the Hampshire area about a big fish water, most people will tell you about Diva Springs and also Avington, which you see me fishing here. Which one should you fish? I suppose that's down to personal preference. This fishery, Avington, is a lot more shallow than Diva, but Diva, I think, has more big fish in it and is slightly better run, in my opinion. I do prefer Diva Springs, but if you like to stalk, you want to come here when the light's good at Avington, you can certainly still get big fish, but I know which I prefer personally. I suppose the main thing is I got to test out my new airflow or fly rod and certainly put a bend in it with a fish at Avington. There's nothing worse than buying a new fly rod and not actually catching a fish on it to see how it handles that new fish. So got my 4 fish at Avington. Took me about 2 hours to do so. I didn't win the competition, but all fish fought well. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys.